Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So the changes for Module 25 and all of the companions, as warned back in a stream, has been implemented. This is on the preview server, things are still open to change, and we need to go and test out those companions with like a big name. I've gone and tested every single companion that I have favorited here, from your Air Genasi, your Flumph, Githyanki, Honey Badger, Incubus, all of those companions with a big name and carry weight. And ultimately, just looking at my Module 23 spreadsheet here, I went and tested the top 20 so that we could see how well they're performing now. I have not gone and tested all of them yet. That is still in the works, but I mainly wanted to test those top 20 along with those companions which carry a bigger name. And for example, the recent mythic companions that were released as Zen Market exclusive, Lichmakers, Linu, Elminster, and Jarlaxle, they were performing terribly. Have they increased them since then? Because it would make sense, right? They're trying to sell these things for Zen. They should be effective. So we've got to go and test that all out. And so let's cover the buffs and nerfs, specifically of those companions that everybody has been using. Will you still be able to use them with Module 25, or will you have to look for something new? Now, just as a quick warning, again, everything is open to change. This is still the preview server, and all the values I give will be from the preview server. And the devs can change these at any time before it goes to launch. And even after launch, they'll change it whenever they feel like it. So we're going to give a spreadsheet of my Module 25 testing. And well, let's jump straight in. There you go. Anything in green was buffed. Anything in red was nerfed. Anything in grey or white is round about the same, give or take 1,000 or 2,000 DPS. And these are testing stats. And this time around, we're actually testing in the training room. Reason is because they made it so much easier. You have all of these ratings now up to 75,000. But the best thing is this guy, this boss dummy, has a ton more HP. So we can just sit here, keep attacking him while our companion attacks as well. And you can give combat advantage just by the guard, the conjured fighter on the other side. And then you can test the damage, and you can see the HP bar. Yeah, they have a lot of HP now, which is really helpful. It'll help with DPS tests as well, and you can increase the ratings, and that will also increase the HP even further. It's just they'll deal a bit more damage, and we have redemption so that we don't die while we attack it. So back to this spreadsheet. You can see for the rogue, yeah, the Paranoid Delusion is gonna be kicking some serious ass. Compared to back with Module 23, the Paranoid Delusion on the Rogue was 50,000 encounter DPS. Now it appears to be about 60,000 encounter DPS. And you can see the Cleric's Paranoid has seemed to take a hit there at 35,000 compared to what we saw before at 54,000. Just keep in mind that these, again, are dummy tests, and so it can change depending on what content you are, how much damage those companions do, how effective they actually are. And specifically with this Paranoid Delusion, I have to test it on different classes, and getting the stats on all the different classes exactly the same is pretty challenging. So we use a bit of math in order to extrapolate exactly how much DPS it would be dealing, compared to if the Pseudo Dragon was dealing the same amount of DPS on all of those classes as it should if they were at the same stats. So if the Pseudo Dragon was at 31,599 on my Paladin, and it was that then on all of the other classes, then we can equate how much DPS the Paranoid should be dealing then on that class compared to what it does on the Paladin with those stats. And that's where we got those DPS ratings there. And you can see across the board there the other buffs and nerfs. And the big things to note is that the Pseudo Dragon has taken a hit. It's gone down to 31.5 thousand encounter DPS from that top at nearly 40,000 encounter DPS. And you may have spotted, yeah, the Honey Badger is doing really well. 51,000 encounter DPS now, instead of what it was, near enough to the 40,000 encounter DPS. 38,000 encounter DPS. Just be aware that the Honey Badger only deals this damage when above 80% of its hit points. I think they've actually changed that now. They've changed up a bunch of the powers of companions as well. So you can see the Honey Badger here, and you can see that it now deals over double its base damage, but while it's over 90% of its hit points. So this thing will be like a glass cannon. If it takes a ton of damage, it won't be dealing much damage anymore. But it can hit like a serious truck there. I can show you the act log. 51,000 encounter DPS. The max hit was like just over 400k. And it does quite a lot of these hits as well. And it just packs a punch on its other powers as well. But it's really going to favor the companion not taking damage or getting healed back up all the time. So I think the only healer right now which can actually feasibly heal companions all the time is the Bard. So yeah, interesting. For the new trial, might very well have everybody running Honey Badgers along with a Bard healer. Who knows? But it's got to be real world tested, because this is against the dummy, and the dummy would be attacking me, not the Badger, so it would have that full damage bonus. So just be aware of that. Don't go buying them all up now. It may very well go and change. This may just get nerfed when they see these results. And then you can see from the rest of the good ones there, we have Rumpadump, which is a mythic companion that they introduced in the just past lockbox, which yeah, we could get here. We have it. It's this little Myconid guy, and he does just a serious amount of damage with his dot. You can see that when you go to attack the dummy, and you can see like as soon as he activates that dot, it's like 40k continual dots there. And we can have a look at his data sheet, and that's him there. He hits up to like 85k on that dot, and it hits quite often. And overall, yeah, like 37,000 counter DPS. That's close enough to what the Pseudo Dragon was doing back in Module 23 or Module 24. And so, yeah, you can have a look again. And otherwise, we have Xuna. She was actually increased. She was buffed a little bit. Well, not a little bit, actually pretty significantly. You can scroll down here on my current log, and you can see that Xuna was only at like 11,000 DPS. Now she's gone up to 23,000 DPS. Otherwise, like your Black Death Scorpions is okay. Your Jagged Dancing Blade is okay. Vicious Dire Wolf is okay. They're still kind of remain the same, these ones. The Warlock's Paranoid Delusion did take a bit of a hit. It used to be slightly better than what you'd have with the Pseudo Dragon. You could see that just here, but it seems to have taken a bit of a nerf. I know one person who won't be happy with that. The Succubus and the Incubus also took a nerf, and pretty heavily for AoE damage. We'll go into that in just a sec. These are all single target tests. Neverwinter Guard Archer also nerfed. Paranoid Delusion for the Fighter nerfed. Paranoid Delusion for the Barbarian nerfed. Githyanki nerfed, and Regis nerfed. The Githyanki took a heavy nerf, down to 16,000 encounter DPS from what it was up near the top at like 36,000 encounter DPS. Yeah, big rip there. You can see his data sheet now. He's not hitting for a whole lot. Whereat Thief got a heavy nerf, Mystagogue got a heavy nerf too. But yeah, that's only with like 40 of these tested. We still have a ton. Like, look at my list. It goes all the way down to 183 at this point. We've got to do the rest of those. They're still all blank. With regards to those mythic Zen Market only companions like Elminster, Linu, Jarlaxle, they do not seem to have been changed. Same with Kavatra Stormite, which seems a little odd. Like, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they increase their effectiveness to make them best in slot? Yeah, the Honey Badger now might be best in slot. It might remain like that. And that's a Zen Market companion. But right now it's dropping from the Astro Lockbox, so it's not that expensive until everybody sees this video and buys them all out. So just be aware, people will play the market based on what I say, and don't get caught out by spending millions on a companion when you don't have to. So let's have a look at the AoE companions. For example, Succubus. How is that doing now? Is it going to be feasible at all within AoE anymore? Like, you can see her, she does now some abilities before she actually does the big cone kiss, which is a bit sad. So that's already a nerf. And see, she only dealt 60k on that hit. It was a deflect though. But let's have a look at the data, and it's pretty sad. She has her single target power, which is Draining Kiss, which can get up to like 330 max hit. Again, this is with my stats. If you have better stats than what you see here, but higher damage, higher power, accuracy, combat advantage, and so on, then your companion will deal more damage. And so with the stats I have, the max hit was like 330k. That's the single target hit. And the maximum AoE hit was 82,000. Now, they did buff her a little bit by also increasing her power, her cone ability, to only have 15 seconds instead of 30 seconds. I still think it's a nerf because the amount of damage is incredibly low, like from 800,000 max hit to just 80,000, and it being delayed before she uses it. Like, we'll just dismiss that guy and we'll resummon her like we used to, so she should reset like the cooldown, and then we go and attack, and every time she do like this kiss, which is a big single target hit, a few attacks with her claw before doing the cone. So that delay can cause her to not be good in AoE anymore. She's still good in single target for causing that vulnerability, and she does all right DPS. Not that great, only 21,000. Then, of course, that's the same with the Incubus. They're basically duplicates. And then let's have a look at another good AoE companion, the Mystagogue. How is he? You may have seen already, he did get nerfed, and we can go and attack this dummy, and that's his slow ability. At least he still does it right from the beginning again. We can resummon him, and that resets his AoE power, attack again, and then he uses the slow. So again, he seems to have similar damage to what we have with the Succubus, although the slow seems to only hit up to like 60k, but at least he's doing it from the beginning. So I need to do a lot more testing with regards to AoE companions, and a lot more testing with all the other single target. There could be totally some gem hidden that I haven't tested yet that could be outperforming the honey badger. And yes, just be warned, there's still a ton more testing need to be done. And with regards to those AoE companions, I'm going to compare them like we have done in the past, basically getting like the damage they deal within like the first 6 seconds of the fight or something, the AoE damage anyway. It'll be a bit challenging because it seems a lot of them have got balance down. Like, we're going to have a look at Regis then as well, and he goes, and when he goes into a fight very nicely, he still does that ability right from the start, and I think he will be one of the better ones. He did get a bit of a nerf with regards to his DPS, but at least that initial whirlwind of blades can still hit up to like 139k. Yeah, he'll probably be one of the best AoE companions, but that's just me saying that right now. Things could change. And then you have like your Splinters, you can hit up to 60k. That's like as good as the Mystagogue. And then he has this AoE dot, which is good as well. And then thanks to Gus a while back testing the like Songstress, she also has a pretty good and pretty massive AoE ability. We could see that on her like Discordant, she can hit up to like nearly 100k. So she's not a bad option either. Again, a lot of testing will need to be done, and ultimately, yeah, there has been some changes, some nerfs here and there, some buffs too though, and I personally still think it's a bit of a mess. If they hit that spot of around 30,000 encounter DPS and for like all the companions, that could be great. But just from my initial testing, there's still a ton of companions below that mark, which are still pretty bad. Oh, and you want to see Xuna? Yeah, okay, she did get buffed, and you can see her hits there. She is an AoE damage companion, and she will be able to put like her envenomed blades on multiple targets. And so she'll need to be tested as well. How viable is she now in AoE, since she has been increased a bit? She could be a competitor, especially with that bleed and dashing between targets. So this was just an intro into the whole mess of companions that are there now. Yeah, buffs, nerfs all over the place, and ultimately I will go and test as many as I can, make videos on like the best single target companions, the best AoE companions. A lot of work still needs to be done testing all of the other ones, and we'll see what happens. Massive thank you again to all of these channel members for their added support. You can support me from as little as €1 a month, and it's greatly appreciated. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.